Hello, welcome to the Daily Record Sport podcast. I'm Michael Gannon, and I'm joined by Ryan McDonald. We just managed to get the pants off our head and the pencils out our nose after Sunday's Scottish Cup semi-final against St Mirren. Another wild and wacky afternoon. We'll get to that in a wee minute, Ryan, I think. We'll tackle all the big issues regarding Celtic this week. First up, a word from our sponsors, NordVPN, superb service for all your internet needs. Tremendous for when you're abroad, Ryan. You see these tips we go on. You can't get a coupon on when you're abroad. You can change your location and all that stuff, and you can get yourself a wee bet on when you're abroad. Absolutely vital. And I got a coupon up when I was in Germany one time. It was absolutely wonderful.
You never bought us a pint.
So that paid for my trip big time. So check out the description box below, and there's wee links here for discounts and codes and all that stuff. It's absolutely brilliant. So get involved with NordVPN. But Scottish Cup, let's get back to Sunday. First of all, Ryan, we were at the game. Unlike some broadcasting pundits who are being banned, we've not been banned just yet. So I'm sure it's coming at some point. But what did you make of Sunday? I mean, where do you begin? What did you think? What did you make of it?
I think one word sums it up, which is just bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. I think it's pretty much the story of Celtic season. They can fly out the traps literally from the first whistle. I thought Daisy Maida really set the tone with his pressing, and then clearly forced a calamity from Ryan Mullen, and that really got Celtic off to the dream start. Lifted the crowd as well, who really got behind the team in the first half. Obviously, Ryan Mullen then comes off injured. He's replaced by a 17-year-old rookie in between the sticks. You think when that happens, Celtic, it's going to be wave after wave of attack from Celtic. They're really going to go for St Mirren's throats here. But they just lost that intensity. The high energy start that they made, it just fell flat again. It's almost as if they kind of lose interest or they become complacent at certain periods during the game. I've said it so many times. I just can't remember last time Celtic produced a 90-minute performance. So, they allowed St Mirren to come back into it. I think St Mirren were quite happy for Celtic to kind of soak up possession in the first half without really doing much with it. And then, of course, Anthony Ralston scores that he turns into prime Marcelo or Tony Alves, as some people
Tony Alves.
I like it. With that absolute thunderbolt, and it's a great layoff by great back heel by Yang as well to make it 2-0. But even at 2-0, I remember I was speaking to one of my colleagues at half time as we were lining up to get our macaroni pies at Hampden, that I just felt as if it still wasn't a game over. I think you've seen it so many times with Celtic take the lead, and then as soon as they concede a goal, then they're almost rattled. They become a bag of nails. So I felt that it certainly wasn't over. I felt St Mirren, if they scored early in the second half, that it would be game on, and that's exactly what happened. I thought St Mirren were by far the better team in the second half. It was Mandron at the back post with that header. It's Celtic are just so vulnerable at high balls at the minute. They struggle to defend their box, and Mandron is a bit of a powerhouse. So it was a fantastic header at the back post to drag a goal back for St Mirren. And then again, the Celtic just looked out of sorts. They looked dysfunctional. The midfield looked just so lethargic. They were getting overrun yet again. Martin O'Neill tried to ring the changes. I know Cal McGregor's clearly nursing an injury at the minute. He was taken off as your captain. Then Kieran Tierney again. I felt he was a bit of a disappointing day for him. I felt as if he wasn't getting forward enough. His trademark kind of overlapping runs and whipping crosses into the box. Didn't really see enough of that. I think we played it too safe at times. So he comes off. Arnie Engels, obviously, a £25 million man. I thought he started okay in the game, but again he faded, lost a bit of influence in the middle of the park. He came off, and then obviously St Mirren score, and it was so well deserved.
Had been coming. That goal been coming.
Celebrations in St Mirren were absolutely wild, and no wonder.
I think I turned to you about 50 minutes to go, and I was like, I know exactly this is going. You knew the goal was coming.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it so many times. I mean, Mick, you're the absolute master of doing the talking points. But I mean, how many times have you had to do a rewrite this season? It's been incredible. And you thought, here we go again, St Mirren score, and it was just such a basic goal to concede as well. Just a simple ball over the top. Trusting Arthur were caught napping. Mandarin again gets in behind him and slots it home. It's a terrific finish, Murphy. But you just think then, for Celtic's perspective, thinking, all the momentum here is with St Mirren getting into the first half of extra time. But I mean, where did that come from? Who could have predicted 4 goals in, I think it was at 5 minutes and 47 seconds or something like that? It was absolutely crazy, bonkers. You just would never have expected Celtic to basically score every attempt that they had. And Kelechi Iheanacho made such a difference. He was. It just shows you what happens when you've got a clinical striker up front. The Celtic have sorely missed that this season. But saying that, as I say, I thought Dyson Maeda was excellent. He really harassed St Mirren backline all afternoon, to be honest. He was just relentless. He never gave him a second to breathe. And I thought he was deserved of the man of the match award. But Iheanacho, a brilliant header and then a fantastic finish as well for the second. And James Forrest, 34 years old, and he comes off the bench and continues to make a difference. I think a lot of people take James Forrest for granted, but yet again, he's made an impact, and that cross for Iheanacho's header was exquisite. And then obviously the deflected cross falls into the path of Luke McCowan as well, and he slots it home, and Celtic are through. So the subs made the difference yet again. Benjamin Nygren, he started obviously getting his 20th goal of the season. I think he was pretty chuffed for that. But I think overall, Martin will be absolutely relieved to get through, because in the 91st minute when St Mirren scored that equaliser, you thought this isn't going to be Celtic's day. St Mirren are going to pull off a double cup shot here. But yeah, Celtic got the job done, in fairness, in extra time, and they're in the final, and it's going to be a crack between Neil Lennon and Martin O'Neill.
It's a cracking start, right enough, that Celtic have had extra time to beat St Mirren, penalties to beat Rangers, extra time to beat Dundee, and kind of stuttered their way past Auchinleck Talbot in their first round to get to a final. I mean, you sometimes think that your name's written in the cup at some point. Then there's Neil Lennon and Dunfermline awaiting, which is going to be a kind of a great story. See, in terms of the change, I can't figure out this Celtic team. I mean, I just can't figure them out. I thought the first half they actually looked okay. They hit the woodwork twice, and it looked like heading towards half time, you could sense that they needed that second goal, and they get the second goal, and you think at that point that should be for Celtic team should be game over. But like you say, that they're so flaky that the slightest bump in the chin, they get a bit wobbly, and I mean, by the time the game finished, if that game goes on another 5 minutes, then Celtic are going to the cup. I mean, I'm convinced of it. St Mirren would win that game if it'd be another 5 minutes. But it somehow managed to reset, and then this, 4 goals in 6 minutes. I mean, Celtic have scored 4 goals all season. They scored 4 in 6 minutes. I mean, it was. I mean, if they can get lightning in a bottle and capture that first period, because that was the first time, I think, for a long time you've seen Celtic really playing with a handbrake off and with pace and positivity and being direct, and it was like a whole new team. It was a bit like watching a team from previous years, as opposed to the kind of slow, lumbering, stuttering, shaky team that's been about this year. But you touched on it there. I mean, I thought, I agree. I thought Iheanacho's influence is massive as well. I mean, his 2 goals are brilliant. The second goal was absolutely sensational. It's a wee bit like the Ronaldinho one with Barcelona against Chelsea. Yeah. Did it kind of have any backlash?
That's a brilliant comparison, actually. Yeah,
right, it was kind of just standing, and he just kind of swung his left boot and it poked it at the top corner. He's clearly a player, isn't he? I mean, he is clearly a player. And listen, you know what it's like. Because he's making impacts in games. Everyone's got that. He should be starting every week and all that stuff. But the big problem with Iheanacho is he can't do 90 minutes. Still can't do 90 minutes. So do you start him, or do you keep him as an impact sub, or what do you do with him? I think he's got to stay on the bench, because if you start him and he doesn't get a goal after an hour, Celtic aren't bothered, because he's got to go off, and there's nobody to come on who's going to score a goal like that. Like he can. I mean, you look at Thomas Chankara again. I mean, bombed out the squad completely on Sunday. Very interesting. I mean, Adamu's back on the bench from nowhere, whereas Chankara, who's been starting games occasionally, he's nowhere to be seen. And Martin, you said that Martin was saying that he just wasn't picked. Can't even get in the bench. So, I mean, it's a lot that's going to rest on Iheanacho's shoulders, but what do you do with him? Would you start him?
No, I totally agree with you. I was actually having this argument with someone yesterday who was saying, "Why is Kelechi Iheanacho not starting?" Well, it's because he's simply not fit enough. Martin Neal was asked the question yesterday at the post-match press conference, and while Kelechi Iheanacho might say he's fit, Martin Neal certainly isn't convinced. So, and this is the big problem. I don't think Celtic have got any player they can rely on for 90 minutes. So, if you were to ask me, I would stick with Dyson Maeda through the middle at the minute. And if Celtic are chasing a goal, you've always got Kelechi Iheanacho to come on and change the game. And if he's not on the bench, then who do you look to? Junior Adamu, who's not kicked a ball. Thomas Chavankara, you say, is completely out of the picture now. They've not got any other options. Callum Osman's coming back, and he might offer something different if he can get back fit from the bench, and that might potentially push kind of Kelechi Iheanacho closer to a start, because you do have somebody like Osman who can come on and inject pace. So if he can really step up,
I don't think they can rely on Osman or hang a hat on him right enough. I mean, this is a kid who's only played 2 or 3 games as a senior football.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to. I don't think you can hang your hat on him, but you saw the impact that he made under Martin Neal, coming off the bench against Midfield, winning the penalty, and then of course Akrulo gets injured with that horrible hamstring injury. He's come off the bench and scored against Rangers. So what I'm saying is he could be an impact player, and he does offer something different. Defences in Scotland they're not aware of him, so they don't know what to expect. So I'm not going to put a huge amount of pressure on the young lad's shoulders, but Martin Neal's a big fan of him. Martin Neal said in his press conferences as well that he does think he can make an impact between now and the end of the season. So, and I believe that too. But in terms of Iheanacho, I think that I'm just unconvinced that he's fully up to match sharpness at the minute. And like you say, if you're starting for 60 minutes, he doesn't score, then at the minute, who can you rely on to come off the bench and produce what he did in extra time there by scoring an absolutely brilliant brace? I don't think there's anybody capable of that in the Celtic squad at the minute, which is a shame. I think for Kelechi Iheanacho, his personal goal for me should be getting up to match sharpness and potentially targeting that the Celtic Rangers game as a game where he should be starting. He should be in the team from the off. And if he can get a 70-80 minute performance out of him there, and he's building momentum, he has scored goals leading up to that, then I think that could be an ideal solution. So it's an interesting one. People forget he's only 29 as well. This is a guy with huge pedigree. He's played for Man United.
That's the thing we talk about Iheanacho as if he's 39, but he's only 20. He is only 29, but he's clearly, listen, we saw him. I mean, talking about starting him. I mean, Tannadice, he started at Tannadice. And I thought he was decent for a while, even that pitch.
Decent touches, yeah.
But after 50 minutes, I mean, he was completely tanked, done. And then he has to go off, and there's nothing to come off the bench, like you say. I mean, the Osman Osman's played less than an hour for Celtic as a senior professional, less than an hour. So anything you get out of him, I think, is a bonus. But he's 3 appearances off the bench, and that's it. So I know people go, "Oh, Osman's coming back." I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be banking on him making a major impact. I mean, if he does, it's a major bonus. But it's you touched on it. The other guys that can't play 90 minutes. I'm looking at a list here. You've got Iheanacho can't play 90 minutes. Callum McGregor at the moment can't play 90 minutes. Kieran Tierney struggles to play 90 minutes. Sriracha struggles to play 90 minutes. Oxlade-Chamberlain struggles to play 90 minutes. And then you've got James Forrest, who doesn't play 90 minutes. So there's 6 first-team players who can't play 90 minutes right now. Yeah. And it could be more. I mean, that's all off the top of my head. So that's what Martin Neal's trying to deal with there. He's got a squad. Plus, you chuck in guys like Adamu and Vukas and all that stuff. Haven't had any game time. Shankara's not had much game time either. So he would struggle to play 90 minutes. So they're trying to balance a squad that is nowhere near up to full fitness. Mm-hmm. It's a major balance. Now, you get Alistair Johnston coming back, potentially. He won't be able to play 90 minutes. No. So, I mean, it's a bit of a patchwork kind of squad now. I mean, one of those guys I mentioned there, James Forrest, he did make another impact from the bench. Again, a bit like Iheanacho, is a big kind of clamour, right? Okay, James is the man. Great assist.
No.
And Sunday, he's got to start. He's got to start. What do we think?
No, I think James Forrest is playing his role perfectly at the minute. He's 34-year-old. He's coming off the bench, and again, he's making the impact. He's using his experience, and I asked Martin O'Neill about his future yesterday, and he said that he thinks that he would love to keep him for another year at least. And to be honest, you can't. I wouldn't disagree with that. I get it that maybe fans might think that it's time to move him on, bleed kind of fresh. Youth players into the squad.
Would you give Forrest another year?
100%. I think I've always been arguably James Forrest's biggest fan. I think he's been criminally underrated throughout his entire Celtic career. I think it's only the last few years that he's actually getting the credit that he's always deserved. I think he's been an outstanding servant for Celtic, obviously the most decorated player in Celtic's history. And I think fans won't appreciate what they had with James Forrest until he's gone. You remember, I think it was Brendan Rodgers' first season back. He really burst into life in that final few months of the campaign and basically dragged Celtic over the line to win the title. I'm not saying he's going to be capable of kind of reaching those heights in the final 5 games this year, but he can make an impact. He can change a game. He can he's an old school winger. And to be honest, when I look at James Forrest, by the way, I don't think he's lost that much pace. He had a pace. I still think he's got that burst of energy in him to get past defenders and whip across in, and that's what we saw yesterday with the assist for Kelechi Iheanacho, and that's what he's capable of. If you're a fullback and you're in it's 70 minutes to go and Celtic are chasing the game, and you see that James Forrest is coming on, you're not going to be pretty chuffed. It's probably one of the last players you'd want in Scotland coming up against you, given his experience and know-how. So. I think James Forrest is playing his role perfectly. I'm not sure that he would have the same impact if he was starting. I think he's better coming on for the last 20-30 minutes. I think that's where he's best to make an impact. I mean, he's done it time and time again. I think he did it against Aberdeen when he set up Benjamin Nygren's goal. He had a hand in the goal at Ibrox as well. I think it was which led to the penalty, the 2-2 game. So
yeah, but
these are examples of what he can do. And for me, by the way, I need to throw this in because that's the point I was making yesterday to someone. Brendan Rodgers said a couple of years ago that he's the best winger at the club. I still think he is. I really do. It's just that he is getting older, and there are players ahead of him naturally who are able to last the 90, but I think James Forrest is a perfect impact sub for me at the minute.
I take the point. I think James Forrest is undervalued, and it won't be till he's long gone that it'll be proper. His proper status will be kind of realised. But I think you have to be kind of cold analytical about it. I mean, he has played 36 games this season, 36 appearances this season, mostly from the bench. It's got to be said. But he's got 1 goal and 2 assists and an assist for a penalty. So in terms of raw data, that's not enough for a Celtic winger. It's just not enough. And unfortunately for James, time is just catching up. He's 35 in the summer. I think last season he had 1 goal and 2 assists all season. With a lot of injuries last season. The previous year was good. He had 7 goals and 2 assists. 5 and 2 year before, and 4 and 5. So the numbers have been pretty diminishing season on season. He's never been first choice. Hasn't been first choice since since Rodgers' first season, probably. First time. Even then, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. I just think there's a sentimental aspect of it. You would keep him on board as an experienced pro, probably, but in terms of where Celtic ambition lie, I don't think you can be relying on James Forrest at 35, come up for 36 to make impacts in games. If they are, they've got a major problem. So, I mean, I don't see James going elsewhere, which is a shame. I would like to see James Forrest playing for somebody else for a season and lighten it up on a weekly basis. I think he still could. I think if James Forrest, I think there'll be plenty of offers. Always has been. I mean, the last time his contract was up, there was plenty of offers from Premier League teams. Even, or I'd like to see him. I would love to see him doing a season, and maybe a season in the top end of the Championship, and seeing how he gets on. But I just think for Celtic, if they end up with James Forrest again having to make an impact next season, it's yet another failure in the transfer market. They need to be recruiting stronger, right? And listen, it pays me to say, because James is one of the best guys in the business, and I think he's an absolute gem of a boy. I just think that if Celtic have to get to that stage next season, something's gone wrong. Let's be honest. I mean, at 35, a 35-year-old winger is. I mean, any winger at 35, you think, right? Come on, especially the way Celtic. It doesn't help them this year the way Celtic have played this year because they haven't had a kind of attacking right back either. The right backs they've had this year. I mean, Tony Ralston I thought was great at it on Sunday. Thought that was actually. I think Tony Ralston brings more as an attacking right back than Rojo did. And I know Rojo's won a lot of fans over him because he's in with the punters and all that stuff. And he scored a goal. And he loves a tackle. In terms of what he contributed to an attacking sense, it was minimal. Whereas Arthur Johnson does provide that attacking side, and it takes a bit off the wingers. Whereas Celtic now are relying on their wingers to attack all the time, and it's a hard shift. And at 35, 36, I think no, you've got to be realistic.
In no way am I comparing James Forrest to Ryan Giggs. Let me just say that, but. Ryan Giggs, what age did he last to? Yeah, I look at Jesus Navas from Sevilla as well. I think he just retired last year and he was like 39. So I'm not saying James Forrest is the future for the club. You know, he might not even make the squad most match days, but to have a guy like that around who can make the difference, and I tell you what, just to have a guy like that around the dressing room when Celtic are going to go a generational rebuild as well. No, James, I
totally get that. But
there's a lot of players that are going to be leaving Parkhead this summer. And to be honest, James Forrest, he wouldn't be nowhere near the top of the list. He'd be a lot further down. I think he's the least of the problems. I think if you can get a guy like James Forrest and tie him down for another year, I still think he can make a contribution. I mean, how many times you watch James Forrest and he gives away the ball? It's very rarely. You can't count it in one hand.
I take that point, but he's only scored 2 goals in 2 years, and it's not enough for a winger at Celtic.
The stats, men will look at that, but if you actually look at it when he's on the pitch and what he produces, I think it shows you why Martin O'Neill was still relying on him, but why Brendan Rodgers loved him as a player, said he was the best winger at the club when he was 33. Neil Lennon, he obviously brought him through. Ange Postecoglou used him, so he has still got quality, and I just feel as if I wouldn't be rushing him out the door. I think he's worthy of another year's contract.
No, I just think a Scottish Cup final and Martin O'Neill waves off in the sunset, and then Jamesy could do as well. I think it's not a bad way to sign off if they win the cup. But we'll get to that in a few weeks. But in terms of the actual team itself, we're talking about it as well over the weekend. The old Chris Sutton's team tombola comes out with who gets picked, and this time in the middle of the park is another one. I mean, Celtic Midfield, you couldn't guess on a weekly basis who's going to be playing at the middle of the park. There's another kind of combination on Sunday. But surprisingly, I don't know if I was quite surprised that there was no sign at any point in time of Rio Hatate. Having had a couple of good games a few weeks ago, and everyone's saying he's back in form and he's going to be the guy driving the team to the title. All of a sudden, he's back in the bomb squad again. Where is he? And what's the tombola going to throw up next?
I mean, you and I looked at each other at Hampden yesterday and said, when's Rio Hatate going to come on? And then in the end, it was, I think he was preparing to come on, but then I think Benjamin Arthur had to come off and Dane Murray come on at the start of extra time. But I mean, if you're Rio Hatate after 90 minutes, 94 minutes, and he's still not getting on the park, I don't know. It's a strange one. He had that purple patch when he came back into the team. I think it was around about the 4 away games Celtic had in the trot, the double header at Ibrox, and obviously he scored the penalty. Well, the third attempt, I think it was at Ibrox. He scored the penalty, but he came in and he performed well in that period. But he just seems to have just fallen out of contention again. It's a strange one. You know, Luke McCown's ahead of him. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's ahead of him. Arnie Engels is back now. And Paulo Bernardo, he was nowhere to be seen yesterday either. He wasn't even on the bench. So it's an interesting one for Hatate. I think Brendan Rodgers said, I keep going back to the quotes that Brendan Rodgers said, but I remember when he first came back to Celtic, he said something along the lines of he's a player that frustrates him. And he is. I probably get that with Martin O'Neill as well. He must be a player
that drove Rodgers nuts. I know for a fact he got a pull.
He put 2 and 2 together. He must think that he's a player that must drive Martin O'Neill nuts as well. But it's a strange one. I'm not quite sure what the situation is because I don't think, when he did come back into the team, I don't think there was a dramatic fall off of form in any of his last games. So for him to be completely bombed out is a bit of a strange one. But look, there's issues over the Celtic midfield for me. I know Arnie Engels came in, he added a wee bit of energy, a wee bit of muscle, a wee bit of legs in the midfield yesterday, particularly in the first half. I thought he was decent and he made a difference. Even just intercepting some passes from St Mirren in the middle of the park, I thought he did that quite well. But I still think Celtic are lacking so much dynamism in the middle of the park, I really do. I know Benjamin Negron scored his 20th goal this season, and to be fair, he was all right yesterday, but sometimes I just feel as if he's a kind of it's like an empty jersey in the middle of the park, to be honest. Sometimes he just falls out of the game and you wonder where he is. I wonder, Callum McGregor
20 goals this season. What can he do?
But I wonder with Callum McGregor nursing this injury at the minute. And again, you'll never hear me criticising Callum McGregor. I think he's been just like James Forrest, a tremendous servant. Still think he's got so much more to give with Celtic. He is kind of battling through the pain barrier at the minute. Yes, he hasn't performed to the levels which Celtic fans have known over the last decade. He is another player that's getting older as well, but he is only lasting 60-70 minutes. He has said he's nowhere near the levels which Celtic fans have been used to over the years. I just wonder, is it worth maybe experimenting, with a game against Falkirk this weekend coming up? Should you maybe throw in, a different midfield? I'm thinking Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. We're talking about Rio Hatate. Probably unlikely this would happen, but Rio Hatate and Arnie Engels, I think that would really freshen things up. And it's probably a midfield three that I think punters would probably like to see as well. I don't think the three of them have ever kind of lined up together. And obviously that would mean
the Tombolo will throw it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that would mean Benjamin Negron dropping out. But again, he is a guy that can make a difference from the bench as well and score when you're chasing a goal. So I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about. I just feel as if the midfield is not functioning as it should at the minute. To me, I think it's you've got the striking issues where you're struggling to find a goal up until yesterday. But I think it is really a weak point in the team. And it's something that needs addressed, because I think if Celtic stick with what they've got at the minute, I think they're just going to continue to overrun.
This is the thing, right? I went to see Project Hail Mary at cinema the other day, right? And it comes from the American football term Hail Mary. It's like kind of last ditch, desperate, last throw of the dice when all seems lost, and it's the kind of last play to win a game at the last moment. And it looks like Celtic's chance of winning a double this year is like Project Hail Mary. It's like the striking issues, midfield issues, injury issues, fitness issues, dealing with cross ball issues, all these issues. And yet, can they pull off this Hail Mary and win a double? Is it destined to win a double? Can they do it?
I mean, they can do it. We've spoken about it before, but I think the fixtures are far more favourable for them in the league run-in than they are for Rangers.
Are they going to do it more like not the Castles? Are they going to do it? Are you now? Given that 4-4 lightning in a bottle moment? Are you now on Project Hail Mary and it can happen?
I said in the last podcast, I think Celtic will win the league, and the Scottish Cup against Championship opposition. I know Neil Lennon haven't fired up, but I think they can. I think they should obviously go into that as massive favourites, and it'd be one of the biggest cup upsets of Celtic's history if they were to crash the defeat there, especially Martin Neal's potential last game. But so I think they can do it. I know people probably wonder where that's coming from, but I do. I feel as if they can do it. This Martin Neal factor of just, when you think the game's done and then he continues to just grind out wins. I don't know. I think it might be written in the stars, especially with this grand finale at the end with Lennon via Neil. I don't know. What about yourself?
I mean, like that written in the stars, Project Hail Mary is about going into space. I thought it was quite good to tie it together. I can't see it. I mean, maybe I'm older and more miserable and more Doctor Doom, and I just can't see Celtic win the league this year. I don't think they've got the tools. I think if they did win the league, Rangers and Hearts should just pack it up and get up the road, because they'll be kicking themselves for history if one of them don't win this league, because Celtic are no way equipped. Lost too many games. I just can't see. They don't control games enough. I just don't. And they're going to play against better teams than St Mirren. I just can't see the league. I think the league's going to be a bridge too far. But I think they will win the cup. I think quite a fairly nice send off for Martin Neal to win the cup. And it's probably about as much as they sort of deserve this season. It's been so shambolic. To walk away by a double this year, I think we'd be walking away. They should walk away a wee bit kind of embarrassed by a double this year. given the way it's gone. But listen, fair play, they're still in there fighting. But I just don't. I think the too many sins of the past will catch up with them in the league.
I think it would be the most remarkable title win in the club's history for to do it. I mean, 8 league defeats. I don't think any team's won a championship with 8
not 8 defeats when they won it in '98, no.
That was a wee bit before that time, so you might. Well, since definitely in the last 25 years,
Rangers were kind of stumbling towards 10. They were losing games, and so were Celtic. It wasn't a vintage campaign in terms of wins and losses, but people remember it. People forget that you forget the defeats once it's over the line. So I think over the line it'll be remembered as a remarkable season under Neil. I just think I think Rangers and Hearts going at it. I think Falkirk. We'll get to Falkirk towards the end of the pod as well. But the game at the weekend, they'll be tools away now as well. Remains to see what happens with Hibs. I just think the big games against Rangers and Hearts, I think, even though it's at Parkhead, I think they're tough. I just think Celtic, the vulnerability there, but they've got resilience. They have got spirit and resilience. What they lack in a lot of areas, they have got in desire and determination. Whether that's going to be enough, I'm not entirely convinced.
I'll just quickly say, I think the reason I think Celtic have got a real chance of winning this league is because you look at it, Hearts are still to go to Hibs, so there's potential to drop points there.
Yeah, totally.
Rangers and Hearts meet at Tynecastle before Celtic and Rangers meet the following weekend. So Celtic could potentially go into that game against Rangers top of the league. And if they're top of the league and they win that, then they're going to be the momentum swings in their favour again. They're going to go favourites. So I think the next few weeks, it's dynamite. I can't wait for it. It's what we've all been crying out for years, a proper title fight. And not only do we have a 2-horse race, we've got 3. So I just think I've got a feeling that Celtic are going to go into that game against Rangers top of the league, and if they can win that, then I think they're going to be on course for it.
It's going to be bonkers, and we can't predict anything, that's for sure. What I wanted to get to discuss as well, I mean, obviously the kind of off the field stuff's been parked a wee bit just now with the focus on the trophies, but it was interesting in the last week, the kind of Lord Hockey came back out again with his season ticket alliance trust ideas, and he's brought in Paul McStay as the ambassador for this, which is interesting. I mean, Paul's not a guy who's been in the limelight for years, and I've spoken to him a few times over the years, and he's a pretty quiet, almost kind of shy guy. For somebody who's, I mean, a complete utter legend of the club, he's not a particularly vocal kind of guy. So it's interesting him putting his head over the parapet and backing this. Especially how it could be seen as a kind of move against the current board a wee bit. I don't think it is that. I think that's maybe why some punters are kind of not quite getting too excited, because the ambition is to get 56,000 season ticket holders to sign up for this, and Lord Hockey will put in his 2 million per 10,000 and get 10 million shares, which might get them 5 or 6%, which could get somebody representative from the support on the board, which is, I think, would be a positive for everyone concerned, but it's probably not enough for the ones with the pitchforks and wanting wide scale changes and wanting a change of regime. They want Derek Desmond to go and all these things. So for this, it doesn't sound ambitious enough for them. It sounds good, sounds pretty solid to me. But are you surprised about Paul kind of getting involved, or do you think he can make an impact on this? Does that legitimise this? Will it help it get up and running? How do you see this kind of Willie Hockey-led movement unfolding?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I look at it, Celtic fans have been crying out for a voice at boardroom level for years, and I think this could be a genuine way in. You know, I think they've been campaigning, the Celtic Fans Collective, for a fan advisory board as well. I just think there's been so much anger and discontent this season. It's very much, you kind of touched on it there, it's a very much like an us v them mentality between the fans and the hierarchy. You know, it's been a club that's been engulfed in a civil war for the last 12 months. You know, one extreme stands to the other. For me, it's very much a broken club at the minute in terms of the disharmony. I've never seen disharmony like it in all my years kind of covering Celtic. So, you know, I think the big thing for me, the season ticket renewal campaign is due to launch any day now. You know, and I suspect, my major suspicion is that I think Celtic will announce their plans for restructuring. You know, I think in the background they've been working on it. Brian Wilson's kind of alluded to it in his previous statements and Celtic TV interviews that there will be a kind of major statement forthcoming, and I think that will tie in with the season ticket renewals coming out, because we all know how important that season tickets are to Celtic. They pretty much, that is the lifeblood of Celtic, is the fans, and the season ticket money that comes in. It's tens of millions of pounds. So I know that obviously there's a Celtic fans collective are campaigning for, until the final day. They're asking fans to delay renewing and to send a message to the board as they campaign for restructuring. Tom Allison, he'd been on the board for decades, and I know he's just recently retired. That was announced last year. So I think that's that's a signal of things to come. And just on the season ticket alliance, I think it's 54,000 season ticket holders Celtic have got. So if you get 54,000 fans behind that alliance, and like you say, Willie Hockey's pumping in 2 million for every 10,000. I mean, that's potential for £10 million being converted into shares. And if the fans have been crying out for a voice in the boardroom, then that's the way to do it. And Willie Hockey, he's such, we all know who Willie Hockey is. He's a lifelong fan, multi-millionaire, hugely successful businessman, hugely respected. And I think we talk about Paul McStay as well. We have a legendary figure like Paul McStay, who's the poster boy for the campaign, and I think it does carry. I think it could work. I think it does add a bit of legitimacy to the campaign. And you need to remember as well, the Celtic season ticket holders aren't actually been asked to put any money in either. It's Willie Hockey's putting all the money in. They just need to sign up and back it. So I think it's a well thought out campaign. I don't think it is anti-board. I think it's just about getting a fan representation onto the board. And I think for me, Celtic are a real crucial period in the club's history at the minute. I think this summer could decide or shape the trajectory this club's going to go in over the next 5 years. And I think everybody will probably agree that Celtic and Dyer need a modernisation from top to bottom. I think that's abundantly clear. And they need representation from the fans, the lifeblood, to help really play a part in that and build a modern club for the future that fans can be proud of and actually see Celtic reach their potential. Not just domestically, we all know they've dominated domestically, but in Europe, that's where they've really come up short. And I think if we're going to restore unity, I think this is the first step in doing so. And I think it's a campaign that could work.
Yeah, I mean, getting somebody on a fan representation on the board is all very well and good, but I still get the feeling that with Dermot Desmond, it could be the old line about I listened to all the opinions and then we all agreed I was right. I don't think. I don't know if it would make up line, but a difference. And by the way, there already are Celtic fans on the board at Celtic. I mean, nobody can't say that likes of Michael Nicholson and Brian Wilson, they're big Celtic fans as well, as holding important positions. I think I suspect Willie Hockey's move is I think it's a positive step, but could also be a bit of a Trojan horse as well. I think there's a lot of kind of well-to-do Celtic fans in the background as well who have got expertise in business and all these things, and they look at the way the club's been run just now and think, that's not how I would run my business. I mean, sitting in the summer with £77 million in the bank, that's a time when you have to be aggressive and expanding your business, not contracting and protecting, because that's what's invited the problems. And I think there's some smart business minds behind there, and Willie Hockey is one of them, and he's got plenty of pals that are very smart as well. And I think some new blood on the non-executive board and on the executive board at Celtic would be beneficial, because it has stagnated, it has stalled, things have got a bit too cosy, and it needs a bit of fresh blood to give it a bit of a jolt. Having a fan representation would be a help as well, but I think having smart business minds on there is more important. I think the club could do with a wee bit of a kind of jump start again to get the wheels turning, because I think the chance. Listen, they have done things I mean, they've invested in infrastructure, they've spent money on Barfield and a few other things. They have spent money in the squad, just in the wrong areas and wrong kind of players sometimes. But I do think I just think that the chance last summer was there. They got to the knockout stage in Champions League. There was money in the bank. that was the time to put the foot in the gas and expand the business. Whether that meant investing heavily in the team to make sure the Champions League was a given again, or whether it was to ramp up Celtic Park and put another stand up or something like that. It would also increase revenue down the line as well. Something had to be done to kind of drive the business forward. It didn't happen. And I think there's a lot of business minds alongside Willie Hockey who know that as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops. I think it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to take for a long time, I think, to kind of build up a head of steam. But I think there will be moves made. Like you say, they'll wait and see how Celtic come back. And Brian Wilson said there's going to be changes, and they are looking at it. I know they've had independent companies looking at it as well and analysing how they operate. So it will be interesting to see what they need to come up with for these season tickets renewals. They'll need to say, right, here's the plan, here's what we want to get to, here's the kind of 3, 5, 10 year picture we want to paint here, because that's been lacking, and it has to happen at some point, because fans need to be won back over again. Because at the moment, like you say, there's a disconnect. They keep paying their money, they want to see where it's going and what the plan is. So anyway, I suppose that's for another day. That's going to go on for a long time. And I suspect once the season finishes, that'll come right back into focus. Oh, yeah. We'll finish up back on the football. Falkirk, 5:30 kickoff. You off this weekend again? Did I see you off this weekend?
No, I don't get any weekends off, Mick. I'm working the Sunday night.
Oh, all right. I'll take it back then. Take it back. Likewise, I'm at Edinburgh Derby as well, Sunday after the Celtic game. But in Celtic 5:30 kickoff, Falkirk. Should be an easy 3 points, because Falkirk will have put the tools away, won't they?
You said it, not me. No, I think Falkirk they've achieved all they're going to achieve this season. I think Europe's going to be beyond the realms of possibility now. I think they've reached top 6. They've succeeded all sorts of expectations this year. Obviously, it would have been a crushing blow missing out in the Scottish Cup final, so they might be feeling a bit sorry for themselves. It's a 5:30 kickoff at home at Celtic Park, the first of the 5 cup finals essentially for Celtic. Like, if Celtic don't get all 3 points, then that's a game setting match. This is an absolute must. You're in must win territory now. You cannot afford to drop points at home to Falkirk, with 4 massive games coming up after that as well. So look, one thing I would say is, and I know it might not be a priority for Martin O'Neill at the minute, but there is also the possibility this could come down to goal difference, this league title, and Celtic are well adrift at the minute. So you saw the kind of goal blitz that happened in extra time there. But if Celtic can, not only obviously close the gap in Hearts, 3-point gap in Hearts, but if we can start to get if we can close the goal difference as well, week by week, that could prove crucial come the end of the season. I know it won't be the top priority. I know also the top priority is getting all 3 points. But again, if you're going to score goals and if you are going to narrow that difference, then a game at home to Falkirk is the game to do it. Yeah,
I think it has to be 3. It certainly has to be 3 points. I just think the Falkirk, after that result at Hampden Saturday, major blow, and but the 5 points behind Hibs. It looks like their race has been run. I mean, some of them, it's not about they owe it to the league's integrity to continue. That to me sounds like that. He worries about that as well. Even by mentioning that, it sounds to me that he's concerned that the players might have just kind of have let out a big deep sigh after Hampden and thought their race might be run. So they're going to have the flip flops on Saturday. So Celtic should knock 3 or 4. 5 past.
maybe not in 6 minutes like yesterday. But
no, where was the last time Celtic scored 6 goals in a game? Quick quiz.
I couldn't tell you.
Last February, Dundee. Last February, was the last time they hit 6-0 win against Dundee. Last February, I think it was. They hit 6 3 times last season. None this year, obviously. Not hit 5 this season, have they? That's the first time they hit more than 4. And done it all in 6 minutes. So if they can capture that kind of 6-minute explosion and put it into 90 minutes, it should be fine.
It was almost as if they just unleashed all the frustrations in that 6 minutes. All the chances they've missed throughout the season. It's almost as if the season just exploded into life in that minute.
They hit what is I think is known as the F-it button. And that might be now required for the last 5 games. I think hitting that F-it button is the way forward for Celtic. It's handbrake off, and they need to go for it now. because it's as I say, it's Project Hail Mary for Celtic now. And you have to give it the full Monty. But listen, we're going to wrap it up here. We've given on for plenty of time now. Thanks everyone for listening. As always, you can hit us in the usual streams and Apple Podcasts and YouTube and all the rest of it. As I mentioned earlier on, thanks to NordVPN up in the corner here. Our sponsors, they're in the links, they're in the comments boxes, and get your discounts. But again, thanks a lot, and we'll catch you again next week. Thank you.
Yes.